Women of Reddit, what's something important you think men really don't understand about being a woman? Period cramps and how painful they can be. Some days I'm literally writhing on the couch from the pain and not even ibuprofen or ice can help. It can last hours and it feels like someone is constantly chewing my uterus with sharp fangs. If I say I'm staying home from work, school for period cramps, I'm not being a wimp. I cannot even think through the pain. It's not every period that I get them that bad, but when I do, hoo boy. I'm a lesbian and I don't think my own girlfriend understood how much pain I was in during my period because I have endometriosis. I had excision surgery last year and it really sunk in for her when the surgeon showed images of my ovary fused to my abdominal wall. Holy shit, I knew endo is bad, but literally fusing across organs is f***ing insane. Mother Nature ficked you gals bad. Yes, my uterus and intestines were fused together, had to have 3 surgeries. Bladder fused to abdomen wall here. Full hysterectomy at 33. I didn't realize how bad period cramps are until I was talking about the time I got food poisoning and how bad the cramps were, and some girls brought up that's what their period cramps feel like. I was unable to do anything except lay down and want to die. Laying down and wanting to die sounds about right. Try throwing up, uncontrollable shaking, and passing out. That works for me. I couldn't sleep cause of the cramps, so I went to the bathroom at 5 a.m. and puked, passed out, got sleep, and got cramps again. Period. Seriously, I feel like this needs to be covered more in sex ed. I had a conversation with some female friends about this roughly a year ago and I had no idea about just how bad it can be. I couldn't imagine the kind of arrogance associated with someone calling you a wimp for a pain they literally don't even have the nervous system to comprehend. BC, they don't have uterus nerves. I used to be unable to sleep or go to school because I would be so sick and in pain. Luckily I'm on birth control now and I'm not in as much pain anymore. That the threat of being physically overpowered feels very real. Not just in the context of being sexually assaulted, but in general. The lingering feeling that if this dude really wanted to, he could kill me with his bare hands. I guess this could be gender non-specific, but being generally on edge and female doesn't help with the sizing people up in case they try to lunge at me or something issue. Just being smaller than anyone sort of puts me on edge, and I've heard from other women they have similar thoughts. I encourage every woman to try Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's not a miracle pill that will make you invincible, but it's the only martial art that gives the smaller, weaker person a real shot at not just surviving a violent attack but subduing their attacker. I've been training for around 2 years and have gotten my ass kicked by women plenty of times. I've also seen a lot of beginner men with fragile egos quit because they've gotten choked out by women smaller than them. I feel this even with my intimate partner of 10+ years. There is just a biological sense being the smaller, weaker one that your life is in their hands, and it is terrifying if you dwell on it. It is there in lesser amounts even with someone you pass alone on a street, or in the park, or in a hallway. I try to explain this one to other men, because they understand the simplistic relationship between size and threat. Would you pick a fight with a guy bigger than you? Unlikely. Now image 50% of humans are that guy you just pictured in your head when you thought of someone bigger than you. And he wants to f you. That's what I imagine the female experience to be like. This is basically how I explained it to my partner when he said guys get unwelcome advances from women as well. I said instead of a woman, imagine it's a guy that's bigger and stronger than you. It was like a revelation. The real landmine that is responding to DMs. If I ignore you, I'm a If I'm friendly, I'm leading you on. If I tell you I'm married right off the bat, I'm conceited for assuming that you were trying to flirt with me even if you very clearly were. Wait, why are people DMing you to begin with? Is that legitimately something random Redditors do? If so, that's weird. It's like walking up to a stranger and trying to strike up a conversation without any prompting. Edit, some of these responses are surreal. I knew this shit happened somewhat, but not that it was, I guess, so commonplace. That sucks and I'm sorry to hear it for anyone who has to put up with that shit. I had a guy message me based on comments I made in the PTSD subreddit. At first, I thought it was a female, because the person was asking if I find that exercise helps with my mental health. I replied that I find it does, and the person asked if I was really fit and thin. When I didn't respond, he then asked for pictures of me. Assholes are everywhere, and they aren't just men. To hit on someone from a PTSD thread. Wow! That person is definitely a predator posse. Or some massive troll. The constant sexual harassment that starts at a young age. Pretty much every woman I know has experienced it in some way. Edit, wow, thank you everyone for continuing to share your stories. Whether or not you identify as feminine, your story is valid. I'm glad to see more people talking about widespread sexual violence. I personally have been harassed many times, probably as early as 11. These days, when I work my retail job, I get phone calls at least once a week. I can tell that the men on the other side are jerking off while they talk to me. It's the slimiest I've ever felt. I was 12 the first time I was catcalled by a grown man. When I was 13, I had a group of guys record me in my cheer uniform. When I was 14, I had my ass grabbed by a schoolmate. That shit starts young and it sticks with you. I will never forget the boy who flipped my skirt up in middle school and made fun of my panties. I looked over at the teacher, who saw it, but she looked away and did nothing. That shit still upsets me to this day. I love the old, I just want to talk. No. No, you f***ing don't. It's much, much more than that, and then they get mad if you don't want to talk. Like who taught these guys social skills? Grim. As a, or possibly the, 40-something male with a young daughter, almost every girl, woman I've known well enough, Legion, of course, has at least some kind of experience like this to speak of. A pretty large percentage on the more serious, damaging, terrifying end of experiences, too. Speaks a lot to how poorly many raise sons. Males out there reading this who think sexual misbehavior, harassment or flat-out abuse is some isolated, rare elsewhere thing, maybe talk to the women in your life a bit more. And your sons, brothers, fathers. This. I swear so many women were first catcalled at the age of 11 or 12 by grown men. Then when you're an adult, men ask why you don't like it and can't just see they're trying to be friendly. Pads don't literally attach to your vagina. And period pads are not the same as bladder pads. I have seen women post about their SOs making that mistake. Edit, not on the same day of course. Just asked my husband where he thinks pads go and he confidently said the wings stick to your thighs. They really have no clue, God forbid he'd have to teach our future daughter these things. I mean, if there was a reason for me to get to know that info, I guess I could Google it. I will admit I have no idea, but it also never crossed my mind to try and find out, and you need to take the paper off so the sticky part attaches to your underwear. The pill isn't just to prevent pregnancy. It makes your periods more manageable. Some of us bleed heavily enough to be anemic without it. Me, I am one of those. I used to pass out from blood loss and pain every month and just thought it was normal. You should get checked for endometriosis if you haven't already. 1 OT of 10 women have it, so it's stupidly common, but 1. It's a women's illness, and 2. It's connected to menstruation, meaning it's easier to tell women, that's normal, take a painkiller and suck it up. Yes, yes, and yes. I love the pill, I have such quick and pain-free periods on them, but off the pill, I often have to skip work, my period pain is so bad.